Bhadram karnebi shrnuyama devaha Bhadram pashyemakshabiryajatraha Stirairangaihi tushtuvagam sastanubhi Yashema devahitam yadayuhu Svastina indro vrdhashravaha Svastina pusha vishwavedaha Svastina starkshyo arishtanemihi Svastino brahaspatir dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gaudapada Karika. The purpose of this is to add some extra commentaries to what we have already spoken about. So verse 17, it says, Prapancha yadi vidyeta nivarteta na samshaya maya matram idam dvaitam advaitam paramarthata. There is no doubt that if the phenomenal universe were really existing, the universe that you perceive every moment, then certainly it would continue to be. It would never disappear. But this universe of duality is just Maya. In reality, there is only non-duality. So let's look at the first part. There is no doubt that if the phenomenal universe were really existing, then it would certainly continue to be. Okay. So what it's saying here is that if prapancha means what is apparent, what you experience, what you smell, touch, taste, and so on, which constitutes the universe. So everything you experience is the prapancha. And it's saying here, if that prapancha were truly real, it's okay, leave it, then it would never cease to be. Now, does the world cease for you? Okay? The world ceases for you. So, yes, it does. It ceases in dream. It ceases in deep sleep. Okay? So this means if the world were truly, truly real, it would truly never cease. So this means that what is truly real, it can never give up its own nature. For instance, take sugar. It can never give up sweetness. Salt can never give up saltiness. But yet this world is able to give up its reality, which means that whatever reality you want to give onto this world, it cannot be intrinsic to this world. If it were to be intrinsic, you could never get rid of this world. This world you can get rid of in a different state. That means the world that you experience doesn't have an intrinsic nature. The word intrinsic means it cannot get rid of it. For example, sweetness is intrinsic to the sugar. So this means I can never get rid of sweetness from the sugar because it's intrinsic. And yet I can pull out this reality. I can get rid of this reality. So this means that whatever reality you want to give to this world, it doesn't have a reality of its own. Otherwise, it would continue just like sweetness continues in sugar all the time. The point is, you can get rid of it. It's not present all the time.
When you're in sleep, the world is still there.
The point is, there is something in sleep that is still there, that was equally there in the waking, that is equally there in the dream. But if there's one thing that is not there for you, is the world. So if the world were truly real, then for you, this world should never cease.
And you are all there is.
So this means from every single person's standpoint, for me, for you, for the person in the future, for the person in the past, for that one, the world should never cease. And yet for all of us, the world has ceased. The world wasn't there. while dreaming, the world wasn't there while in sleep. But what is there while dreaming, in sleep and waking? That's what he wants to show.
And that is not because, let's say, the mind is changing. I mean, the world is still there, let's say, but because we're going into deep sleep, the mind ceases.
Even then, the argument is, even if the world is still there for me, it's not there for you. It should be there for you. It should be there for me at all three periods of time, past, present, and future. But it's not. If the phenomenal universe were really existing, it would continue to be. See, we already said this phenomenal universe has a dependent reality. Now, before we give this pramana, what happens is you think that Dvaita somehow is superimposed on Advaita, right? Duality is superimposed on non-duality. Is that true? Is that how to understand this vision? That in order to get to non-duality, I have to get rid of duality. Is this how it is? No. Then how do I arrive to non-duality? I arrive to non-duality through duality. Because it's a satya-mithya relationship. See? So we look for non-duality as something separate from this world. And yet this world is your very access into non-duality. Thereby every object by default now becomes an object of inquiry, as we saw the irreducible nature of things. Okay? So the point is, if this prapancha were truly, truly real, it would never cease, but it does cease. That which ceases means it has a mithya order of reality. It depends on something else. That's the point.
Yeah. Yes. So practically, scientifically, we all live in different time zones. It may be sleeping for me, but it is alive for someone else. And if we are all one consciousness, part of one consciousness, it's alive for someone else.
It doesn't matter. That's not the discussion. The discussion is for you, for me, for everyone. There should be something always present. Doesn't matter what time zones we live in. You see? So what is the definition of real? It should be for me true all the time. Equally true. Not only true in the waking state, but true in the dream state and true in the deep sleep state.
It's about the person.
Yeah, it is in reference to myself, the individual self.
Are we denying experience once we come to see the non-dual nature of reality? I'm over here. Are we denying experience? No. What are we then rejecting in Advaita? Provisionally rejecting. We are rejecting a conclusion that the world has an independent reality. Do you hear the distinction? We're not rejecting perception. We're not rejecting experience. We are rejecting that the world, prapancha, has an independent reality. That rejection is a conclusion. Because if it had an independent reality, it would never cease. Therefore, any state I reject as having an independent reality. It's apparently real. It depends on something else for its existence. No matter what state you put yourself into, that's what you're rejecting. You reject, and what is inside the world? The things you care about. Now, when I say reject your parents, reject your body, reject your mind, am I putting in a negative connotation? No. I'm simply asking you to use your buddhi and recognize what is something that's true about you all the time. It's the I am. Everything else that is not true all the time, such as where is your arm when you're not thinking about your arm? Where is your parents when you're not thinking about your parents? It's only when I ask you, only then you go, parents. That means even parents are unreal because they were not present all the time. Where is your sense of self when you're not thinking about what you're all about? It's not there. So even the ahamkara does not have an independent reality. Now the verse says, he backs this up by saying, this dvaita, which you are rejecting through a conclusion, not through perception, this dvaita duality is maya, whereas advaita is paramartata. Paramartha, that means it's the ultimate. So what is maya? Maya is not a thing. It's not a thing that you will find out there. It is really just a power in awareness. Even to say power in awareness is a little bit already, dangerous, which we will negate much later. But provisionally we will say consciousness enjoys the capacity to manifest the universe. And this capacity is called Maya. And what is the nature of this capacity? It is the nature of knowledge and power. And when this knowledge and power manifests, as it does, so let's start again, consciousness enjoys the capacity to manifest the universe. What is the name of that capacity? Maya. And what is the nature of this Maya, if you were to describe it? All knowledge / power. And in unmanifest. For example, tomorrow has not manifested today. So tomorrow is knowledge and power in potential. So tomorrow is Maya. In fact, 5 minutes from now is Maya. In fact, your thought right now is Maya. Because it happens so quickly from unmanifest to manifest, you don't even notice it. Now, when it manifests, that same knowledge and power in the manifest we call Ishvara. So when verse 1 says all that is here is Om, another name was given to Ishvara, what it's saying is all that is here is knowledge and power, which is a capacity of Brahman, not an attribute of Brahman, because people ask now, we said earlier on that Brahman has no attributes, and now you're saying that there is a capacity of Brahman. Isn't that an attribute? No. Now you say, well then how do you show that? You simply use a dream. A dream, your mind manifests the world. We said your mind is the material cause and the efficient cause of all things in your dream. It manifests the mountain. It also uses its skill to shape like a mountain line, to put it all together. And the dream is full of attributes, isn't it? Full of storylines. And your mind is manifesting all of that. Now, does any of that pass on to you, the waker? No. So even though you, the waker, has right now the capacity to manifest the dream, is that capacity manifesting right now? Is there a dream for you right now? No. But their capacity is dormant in you. It means right now you can be called, theoretically speaking, Brahman, suppose. Your body, suppose, is infinite right now. Your personhood is infinite, and it's called Brahman. And right now, you have the capacity to manifest a world. Right now. But that world is not here. So that capacity I call Maya. Can we say that that capacity is bothering you right now? Is it an attribute? Is it like whispering in your ear, hey, I'm a capacity, I can produce a world. Do you hear that capacity right now? Do you even know it's there? You don't even know it's there. You just mind your own business, lie in the bed, and out of you, without doing anything on your part, you don't turn on the switches, you don't press any buttons. You just do your business, lie down, and out of you arises a capacity and manifests a world. And then makes you, the waker, appear as if you are that mountain and the lion and the person running away from the lion. And then you believe yourself to be that person running away from the lion, and you say, oh God, I'm so safe, thank you. And then you look up and you say, oh, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord. And then somebody asks you, who created all of this? And you say, I don't know, the Lord did. Where is he? He's up there. Until a guru shows up, a dream guru, who you also, by your power, have manifested without even trying to do so. The whole thing is just coming out of you, arising out of you spontaneously. You're not doing anything. You're just resting as a conscious being, full, complete. While From the standpoint of the dream, which we call Vyavaharika, there is you, who's now asking a dream guru. And the dream guru is saying, you see, if you look around, it seems like it's all different. Different mountains, different land, different people, different stories, different food, different cuisines. There's France, there's India, there's the moon, there's a galaxy, there are scientists looking in the deepest trenches of our universe, and they're writing books, and there are specialists, and there are biologists, and there are doctors, and the whole thing is very well put together. And everyone has a role, has a purpose, everyone has someone to need, and people get married, and you're one of those people. You find a relationship with your parents, and they say, I gave you birth. Your parents are also you. And then you say, oh, I have parents. They gave me birth. Thank God. Until one day the guru says to you, you see, my dear, the whole show is just you appearing as me, you appearing as you appearing as the mountain, as the lion, as everything. All the while, you are completely without any attributes. None of this sticks onto you. From the standpoint of your own power, it seems as if you're a person. But from the standpoint of Paramartika, from the standpoint of the Absolute, you have no involvement in this universe whatsoever. You did not press a single button. You didn't decide anything. You did not initiate anything. The whole thing is appearing in you, and you remain free of the entire show. And then you say, so how does this happen? That is by your wonderful power. In fact, if you look anywhere around in the dream, you can find none other than yourself. There is only you here, through your power appearing as if you are split into differences.
Could you say that when the sleeper is dreaming, you could compare him to Ishvara, and when he is in deep sleep, he is Brahman?
Say that again. I'm going to put it down.
We have the sleeper. When he's dreaming, then he's obtaining the power of Ishvara, like producing the dream, and when he's in deep sleep, he is compared to Brahman in that metaphor.
No, deep sleep you will compare to Maya. Why?
Unmanifest.
Yeah, but Brahman is not doing anything, and the deep sleep doesn't do anything either.
No, in the tradition we will say the waker can be compared to the real you, Brahman. The deep sleep will be compared to your potential, in you, your potential, which is the whole dream world is stored in potential. So this means there's a world, and in the world there is you and I talking, asking this question, and this world like that just resolves everything, the trees, the laws, dharma, the tradition, everything resolves, and there's nothing to find, there's nothing to see. And then once again, something stirs up, and then again the whole world comes out. And here you are again in this universe. And then you wake up in a dream, and you realize, none of it stuck onto me. However, look at this. You wake up in the dream. What's the problem with this example? You wake up, not in the dream, you wake up from the dream. What happens when you wake up from the dream? The whole thing disappears. So now, a person will listen to this and say, so when I wake up in this waking state, right, the world disappears. So the dream has a limit. So you have to then negate that and say, when you wake up in this waking state, what is waking up in this waking state equivalent to waking up from the dream? What do you think it is? How do you wake up in this waking state, which is as good as waking up from a dream? And seeing that none of this had any effect upon you, that the person who was carrying themselves thinking they're an individual had no independent reality. Which means knowledge through what pramana? Satya Mithya. Okay, so this means from our standpoint here, from Vyavaharika, nothing changes, unlike in a dream. You just cognitively analyze forms, analyze your body, analyze your brain, analyze your thoughts, and you find out that nothing really lasts. Everything's just going and passing. If there's one thing that remains, it is you. Pause. Now go back to your example. One more time. Yeah? Okay. I do not want to skip. Okay, 100% good. If there is anything else, just let me know. Okay. Yeah? Yeah.
For me, it's always confusing that the world is unmanifest, and then he manifests, but there is a certain continuation.
Yes. So knowledge and power goes through continuity of manifest and manifest. So when Ishvara manifests, when knowledge and power manifests the world, not only does this knowledge and power manifest and unmanifest, but within the manifestation, as is true now, it's still going through manifest and unmanifest. So this is why we said earlier, what is Ishvara? It is parinami upadana karanam. It is a material cause which is constantly manifesting and unmanifesting. But if there's one thing that is not manifesting and unmanifesting, it is the presence in whom there is knowledge of the fact that things are manifesting and unmanifesting. Look at it like this. Let's take your thoughts. Very simple, because I can see on your face. Your thought is manifest, yeah? For example, where was that question 5 minutes ago that you just asked me now? So this means that question, right, it was a thought in potential. Okay? And now it got triggered by Andre saying something, and now suddenly it was the right time for that thought to come through. So that thought was knowledge and power, unmanifest, and now that knowledge and power is manifest in the form of the sound that you just asked. Having said this, what's going through your mind? Because I'm always observing the face and I can see if it's incomplete, the inquiry.
I think I need more listenings to understand this.
Regarding what specifically? Knowledge and power, manifest, unmanifest, or the unchanging principle?
The unchanging.
Sorry, the changing or the unchanging?
No, the manifesting and the manifesting.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, so the question is about manifest and unmanifest. So let's define the words. What does the word manifest mean for you?
It appears.
It appears?
Appears?
It appears.
Okay.
Excellent. What does the word unmanifest mean for you?
It doesn't appear. It's in potential.
It's in potential. Okay. So if it's in potential, does it mean that it doesn't exist? It has to exist, right? It has to exist. Because what does the word potential mean? It means it's going to come. You cannot, something cannot come from nothing.
Yeah, that I understand. What I don't understand is the world that is appearing yesterday. The next day, it's evolved. And it's not. I can't find the right words. It doesn't stand still.
It continues, and every continuation is a series of manifest, unmanifest so fast that to you it appears like one smooth show. But if you could slow down, it would just be one frame like this, next frame like this, next frame like this. And so if you speed that up, it feels like Andre's moving, we're having a discussion. So every frame, every moment from now, like 5 seconds from now, 5 minutes from now, is not here today, is not here right now. Do you know what is going to appear 5 minutes from now? Nobody does. But something will appear 5 minutes from now, isn't it? So where is that 5 minutes from now? It's in potential. And what kind of 5 minutes from now will it be? A random 5 minutes from now? Or connected to this? Connected to this. So there is no gap between the cause and the effect. The cause always has a perfect reflection of the effect. The effect is never random. The effect always is a continuation, a perfect continuity of what has happened just a second ago. Now imagine that eternally. It never stopped. It never began. There was always this moment. Right now, the world, there was always you as a person wearing some body, insect body, plant body, I don't know, some body, there was always a world for you from your standpoint. And that world was always in a manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. It never began. You were always experiencing this. Until one life, the person comes to the knowledge and says, so I understand now what is the reality. And I understand what is apparently real. When that person drops the body, then from your standpoint, there is no more this. You're now everything. But as long as you're still here in this body, from this standpoint, it seems like in a dream, it's like, wow, like people, characters, right? We're having a discussion. But from the standpoint of the waker, none of this is happening. From the standpoint of the waker, lying as the limitless one, awake. Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
I try to understand the awakening in the waking state. What you mentioned.
You want to understand awakening in the waking.
In the wakening state, you just mentioned that. How is it to awake in the wakening state? That's what you just said 5-10 minutes ago.
Say again.
How to awake in the wakening state.
How to awake in the waking state.
Yes, that's what you mentioned before.
So, okay, let me just trace back. Okay, so what I said, I was comparing the dream. When you awake from the dream into the waking, then the dream disappears. Yeah. Now people take that example and they superimpose it onto enlightenment. They think that when there is moksha in the waking state, it is like waking up from a dream. And suddenly I perceive things differently, but I don't. I continue to see the empirical world because I didn't design this world. This world is designed by knowledge and power. Unlike a dream, it is my world, my own creation. But this dream, because I didn't design, even when I discover its mithya nature, it continues exactly to be the same thing. The only thing is now knowledge. Knowledge tells me it is mithya nature.
Yeah. So it's what I did write down is a cognitive process, cognitive happening.
A cognitive happening, yeah. There's no other way. Because the world doesn't want you to change anything. The world is just perfect. It's already Ishvara's creation. My job is not to attack the world. My job is not to judge the world. My job is just to see the world based on the realities. So Vedanta throws that light onto the reality.
Couldn't you adopt that metaphor for those kind of people in a sense that you say the dreamer in his dream is awakening through the dream guru that tells him about his realization, so the dream still continues. The dreamer is the person who is dreaming as Ishvara is still there, but within the dream.
Yeah,
the dream is continuing.
that's a very good example. So he's bringing a different spin where, within the dream, then someone shows you this dream is, an amazing power that's projecting this world, and then you go, wow, really? And then he shows you some logics, right? Some Satya Mithya logics, and you go, okay. But then you still look and you still see your mother, your father, your food still tasty. You still want to do all the old things, and you just have to then wait it out a little bit, few more years, to officially wake up. We call that Videha Mukti. Okay. So while there's Videha Mukti just means when the person has the knowledge of the reality, then when that person, that Jivan Mukta, when they drop their physical body, then they're no longer subject to the confinement of the body. While they were alive, the confinement was as though. Whereas for the ignorant person, the confinement is actual. I'm actually confined. I'm actually small. But for the wise person, there is still a confinement because it's Ishvara's creation. I cannot remove it. Ishvara makes it appear like I am here and not over there, even though cognitively I understand I'm everywhere. So the person has to wait a few more years to officially drop their body, and then they say in the tradition, you're now officially free. You're completely free. You were free while alive, but now you are really free, right? Because you don't have the upadhi of the body anymore. Yeah. Mahasamadhi, yeah. This is why they say when the Swamini or Swami dies, So this means you just appreciate, the apparent confinement and, and go with that. Okay. So the dream example we used. Another example we can use is, we used yesterday the clay pot. I think you already got the idea that, the pot is never going to displace the clay. Okay, so I know now the pot is the world, the clay is the substance, and no matter how many small things appear in this world, do they ever add onto the substance? Do they ever add onto the clay? Is pot an addition to the clay? Has anything been born? So I have a block of clay, which is the reality, Brahman, and now there's through the power, a pot comes. Has anything new been actually born? Anything brand new? Has anything been created? See, to say something new has been created means that this pot is an independent reality. But is it an independent reality? No, it's completely dependent. It's the same substance that was there before the pot came. Before the pot came, clay was there. While the pot exists, the same clay is there. When the pot breaks, the exact same clay is there. There's no weight addition when the pot is born. There's no extra weight added onto the clay. So thereby, let the world, like the pot, continue in different forms, but your knowledge shows you it sees through. It sees through that nothing new is ever created. So, if all that is here is awareness, and through the power called Maya, there manifests a person who is born, called your name. Has anything really been born? Can you then say that you were born? Suppose this pot says, I was born. When it says I was born, what is it referring to? First, Navya? A function.
Yeah, you have clay pot, you make a pot. It's not a new, non-material, but the function of
The function, as far as function, has come, right? But function does not mean something new has come.
the function is new of this pot.
And from the transactional standpoint, there is a function. But from the absolute standpoint, from the clay standpoint, there's no such thing as function.
But the function, the clay has not the function of the pot.
Yeah, in other words, the function depends on the clay. The name depends on the clay. The form depends on the clay. The usefulness depends on the clay. Okay? So now, if you are like this spot, and you say, I was born, what do you mean, I was born? What are you saying, I was born? I was born. What was born? Let's analyze that. I was born. What was born? Stick to this example. Name and form was born. For name and form, so if you are a name and form, then what was anything actually born? Anything brand new born? Were you actually like just a brand new existence from somewhere far away added and that was born? Like it came from somewhere? No. So if all that is here is awareness, from which arises this entire universe by the power of Maya, just like in your dream, and you say, I was born, and then I exist, and then I will die, what are you referring to? You're referring to the name and form. Wherever there is a name and form, that's exactly where awareness is. So, according to the verse, nothing, as we will see more and more, the world is not born. All that you're seeing is names and forms of this one reality. And you're speaking about, just like I used the example of ice and rain and mist and vapor, all of them were names and forms of the one water. Thereby, how do you now use this in everyday life? What changes having said this?
Perspective.
Waking, dependent. Dream, dependent. Sleep, dependent. Waking, name and form. Dream, name and form. Sleep, name and form. Your body, name and form. Your life, name and form. Do you really have a life? Because what is your life? You don't have a life. I got no life, man. And your life is made of stories. What are those stories? Just a collection of objects that you saw in this world. But those objects that you collected in the world, are they different from Ishvara? And is Ishvara different from consciousness? So all you're really sharing, your so-called life, is just consciousness appearing as different names and forms. Now going back to that dream example, your mind builds a dream world. But what is your mind made of? Knowledge and power. Knowledge and power. But knowledge and power resolves into consciousness. So now you take your mind, a little bit of knowledge, you take total knowledge, Hiranyagarbha, total cosmic knowledge, the total cosmic knowledge plus Vaishvanara, the total physical body, all physical beings, no reality apart from knowledge and power, no reality apart from awareness. Just like dream objects, no reality apart from the mind, and that mind is knowledge and power. And that knowledge and power is none other than consciousness. So all you're really experiencing is consciousness in different names and forms, which make it seem like it's real because of this Maya Shakti. So that's verse 17. Now, what do we need to do? We need a dream line to awaken us. Verse 18. Vikaupa vinivarteta kalpita yadikena chit upadeshat ayam vada jnate dvaitam na vidyate. Shinmaya version. Diversity would disappear if it is imagined or projected by anyone. This explanation is for purposes of teaching, for duality ceases to exist after realization. Okay, a little bit, let's look at this. So, this is an objection. It's an objection in code. What it's saying is, if all perceived things are mithya, then isn't the teacher also mithya? Isn't the student mithya? Isn't the Veda mithya? Isn't the Upanishads mithya? Now, here comes the objection. Well, then, if everything is mithya, and I've been searching through mithya, world of mithya, for countless years, then how is, and it hasn't helped me, how is this mithya then going to help me? How is the guru mithya going to help me? How is the scriptures mithya going to help me? That's an objection by the opponent. How would you answer that?
By removing ignorance of false notions, it shows what's already here.
Okay, but then the objection comes and says, but you see, the thing that's removing ignorance, it's all within mithya. And the scriptures are also mithya. So what power does mithya have to remove mithya? That's the objection. And then you say, well, you see, this tradition called the Shastra, the Guru, is a very special division of mithya. It's like a thorn where you're walking and there's a little thorn in your heel and you got nothing around you. There's no knife or anything. What do you have to do? You have to go to a rose and pick another thorn and pull out the thorn. And when you do that, both the rose thorn has done its job. Thank you, rose thorn. So what the dream guru does, what the dream scriptures do, is they show you the truth of the dream rather than telling you about objects within the dream. That's the difference. So in that way, the scriptures starts out by first pointing out what's obvious. What is most obvious to you? First thing in the class, first day in Vedanta. What's the most obvious? Body. Right. Even subtle body is already now too much. So already that now you have to explain. Body. So how do the scriptures start? They always start by what is obvious to you. That's where you build some rapport. You have a physical body. Yeah, absolutely I do. Now you have a subtle body. I absolutely do. You have a causal body. And you say, I didn't know about that, but now I know. Then they say, so now what are we going to do next after having mentioned what's obvious? We're going to say or point out a satya-mithya relationship between that and the final reality. That means all those things that you thought are independent, like I have an independent heart, independent body, now the scripture says there's no independence to it at all. It's entire, you cannot find a body anywhere. And you go, so now a satya-mithya relationship has been given to you. And then it says, it doesn't stop there. All that is here is satyam. Even mithya. What do you mean mithya? A mithya is only for the sake of understanding that pot is none other than the clay. But what is actually only here? Is there such thing called a pot? There's only clay. So even the word mithya is cancelled out. So mithya only served a provisional purpose to help you analyze the world, to analyze your body, analyze your mind in the world. After having analyzed, you see there is no other logical explanation than it's all actually the clay. Thus, all that is here is Atma. So that's the direction of the scriptures. And
could you repeat your thorn example? You have a thorn in your...
Sure. So a thorn plus a thorn, they're both in the same order of reality. It's a thorn. Thorn plus a thorn. So thorn represents my ignorance. And thorn, I need a thorn, which is mithya. Both thorns are mithya. I need to take a mithya thorn to move out a mithya thorn. I've solved the problem.
And the mithya thorn from the rose is Vedanta. Or the guru.
The mithya thorn represents the shastra and the guru. Yeah. So
thorn in the food, is that feeling there's something wrong here?
Which one?
The thorn in the foot.
The thorn in the foot. The thorn in the foot is something that you cannot get out, no matter what. You can't get out a thorn with anything except another thorn. Yeah? So the thorn in your foot is something that is in me, like this is my reality. I can't get out of this reality. For me, the reality is mithya. Okay? So what do I have to do? I have to take another mithya tool to get me out. Not that there's anything out to go out, but I need another mithya tool to help me see that this mithya is much deeper than I thought. So the shastra is mithya also? Absolutely. But it's a special kind of mithya. Why? Because it points out the truth of mithya. Every other mithya shows you more mithya.
I'm not clear about the word Maya here. What has Maya got to play? I understand what you say, Maya is a capacity.
Yeah.
Why have they introduced the word Maya now?
Well, number one,
What purpose it's serving Maya?
sure. So we said knowledge and power. That's the word, knowledge and power, which manifests and unmanifests. For the sake of teaching, you want to give that knowledge and power two names. One of them you call unmanifest, Maya. Another, same knowledge and power, you call Ishvara, manifest. So you're just making a slight distinction there, that's all. The point is, they're just knowledge and power. Remove Ishvara, remove Maya, knowledge and power. Does that make sense?
But then we say Maya, like this entire world is mithya, which is Maya's creation. So unmanifested universe is Maya.
Say that again?
So you just said knowledge and power, yeah? So one is unmanifest and one is manifest. Right? So, and then you have Maya and Ishvara. One of them is manifest and another is unmanifest.
Correct. Sanskrit names for manifest and unmanifest. Just Sanskrit names.
So Ishvara is the manifested thing
Correct.
and Maya is the unmanifested.
Correct.
Then why does everybody say, okay, mithya and maya? Okay, I'm getting it.
Yeah, so Maya is mithya because it manifests and unmanifests, but so is Ishvara mithya because it manifests and unmanifests. See, look at this. Even when knowledge and power is manifest right now, so this is Ishvara. But even within the manifest, there's constant manifest and unmanifest. Every moment is gone. Now, gone. Next moment comes. Okay?
So I can understand that one knowledge destroys another knowledge. That I can get it. Yeah. You know, like earlier world, everyone thought world is flat. Yeah. Then that got replaced by, okay, earth is round. So I can understand that knowledge replaces by better knowledge. Yeah. But then I can't understand.
You already said it. You were correct. One is manifest, one's unmanifest.
But I can't understand I can understand this in relation to knowledge, but I can't understand this in relation to power. That one power, you get one power, then it can replace by a greater power. Is that what you think?
No, power just means, it's just a term.
It becomes mithya?
Sure, it's just a term. Take your dream, for example. Okay, whenever things get complex, just go very personal. A dream. You say your dream is filled with objects, correct? Can you agree with that? Your dream? Filled with objects.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. And that dream is, what is a mountain made of in your dream? Impressions. Impressions that you actually saw in the waking state. Okay? So this means that mountain is nothing but knowledge. Knowledge appearing as a mountain. If you didn't see the mountain, you would not see the mountain in the dream state. Okay? So that mountain has manifest for you because you have knowledge of the mountain. Okay?
Yeah, but people dream all kinds of objects which they have never seen.
It doesn't matter. The point is you still see something. It's manifest and it's unmanifest. A mountain manifests, a mountain unmanifests. Both of them are knowledge. Are we on the same page so far? Okay? So that's all I want to show. The manifest universe, when a character in the manifest dream for you asks, who is the creator of all of this? What do you say? You say, Ishvara. Ishvara. Because right now there's a person, right? It's manifest. A person is asking another person. A manifest person is asking a manifest person. The world is manifest. So I say, who's the creator of all of it? You say Ishvara. Now when you say Ishvara, what are you referring to? You're referring to consciousness plus knowledge and power manifest.
Earlier we said chit, sat and chit. Yeah, earlier we said sat and chit. Substance and consciousness.
They are just one and the same reality. Call them consciousness. Okay? Those two words, sat and chit, are describing this reality. Everything exists, and knowledge and power cannot put things unless it's in the presence of consciousness. Okay, so sat and chit is one reality called I, Aham, Atma, Brahman. From that reality enjoys the capacity to manifest the universe. What is that capacity called?
Maya.
Excellent. What does Maya mean?
Unmanifested.
Excellent. When the unmanifest manifests, what is that same power called?
Ishvara.
Stop right there. We're moving on. And let it settle, okay? There's a lot more to teach. Okay. All right. Symbolism of letters Om. Saha ayam atma adhi aksharam omkaraha adhi matram padaha matraha cha pada akaraha ukaraha makaraha. The same Atman centered on the syllable Om is Om. Presented in terms of letters constituting Om, the quarters of Atman are the letters of Om, and the letters are the quarters. Previously, we have examined everything from the standpoint of form, haven't we? all things, all forms are reducible. Yes? Okay. Now, this following verses are going to examine everything from the standpoint of name. So if all forms are nothing but knowledge and power, then all names are also knowledge and power. If all and knowledge and power resolves into consciousness. So whether you speak of forms, you're only ever speaking of the one reality. Sat and Chit. Whatever name you ever mention, you're only speaking of one reality, Sat and Chit. So the first marker right there is do not get caught up with names or forms. What does this Om symbolize? Well, it symbolizes all names. So let's take, for example, Caucasian. What does the word Caucasian refer to? It refers to white skin and usually excludes every other kind of skin. And Caucasian gives you a certain emotion attached. Now suppose I put Caucasian aside and I put black person. Again, when you think of a black person, what comes to mind? A person with black skin. And it excludes every other person who doesn't have black skin. So this means names can create boundaries. They can include certain people. And not only that, but the name you use will have an emotion attached onto it. Yeah? Now look at this. Suppose I use the name humanity. Who do you exclude now? You can't exclude anyone. So in that same way, Om opens up and includes all names for everyone. Nothing can be excluded from Om. Okay, now keeping that in mind, that it includes all names, let's look at what A includes. Verse 9. The first letter, Jagritasthana Vaishvanara Akaraha Pratama Matra Aptehe Adi Matavat Vai apnoti ha vai sarvan kaman adhicha bhavati yaha evam veda. Vaishvanara, whose sphere is the waking state, is the letter A. Because of the similar features between the two, pervasiveness or being the first, he who knows thus obtains all objects of desires and becomes the foremost among the great people. Okay. So far we have discussed three kinds of egos. What are they? Three kinds of observers. The waker, the dreamer, the deep sleeper. And every one of them, when you're in the waking, you think, I am this waking person. Same thing with the dream and the sleep. So, if you were the waker, why would you go to sleep? If you were the sleeper, why would you abandon sleep to go into the miseries of the waking and the dream? You understand the logic? Remember that previous verse? We said that which is intrinsic, you cannot give it up. You cannot give up sweetness from sugar. If you were really the waker, then you could not give up the waking state. You could not give up the waker. But you do give it up. What does that mean? The waking person cannot be intrinsic to you. Because you cannot give up that which is intrinsic to you. And what is intrinsic to you? Awareness. Try to give up your awareness, please. And as somebody says, I just want to let you know, I gave up awareness. Like, oh, congratulations for letting me know that you gave up awareness, which means you were there to witness that. You can give up the dream. That means the dreamer cannot be intrinsic to you. And you give up the sleep, which means the sleeper cannot be intrinsic to you. Because intrinsic nature can never be given up. Okay.
Can you give up all three of them?
Can you give up?
Can you give up all three of them?
You can give up all three of them. In fact, you need a Brahmana for that. To recognize that you are as though that thread, right? That lights up all three of them and you're free of them.
But still you are in the waking state and
Exactly. So you give them up cognitively. Good. Otherwise, the only other experience is to close your eyes, go into meditation, be in this state of nothing, and then go, I've successfully given them up. But then you come back to the waking state. In fact, you got the whole experience within the waking state. So you haven't really given up. Okay, meaning of A. So the first letter is the waker. And what's the primary experience of the waker? We said the physical body. That's the center. And what else do we say about the glory of the waking state? It's the only place where you can access all the other states. Yeah. So if you get enlightened in the dream, you're still ignorant because you don't know anything about the waking or the deep sleep. So therefore, only moksha in the waking can really cancel out all three states, because this is the only state that gives you access to all three states. Even a drug-intoxicated experience will make it seem like the waking is not here. Therefore, you cannot get enlightened in a drug-induced experience, contrary to what people believe. Okay, now what's the symbolism of A? Because A represents Vaishvanara. What is Vaishvanara? Total physical universe. So, for instance, a Shiva for an Indian in a stone is a representation, right? I'm Indian, Shiva for me is seen in a stone. I'm Christian, where do I see Christ? In a cross. And that has emotional value. So like that, the akara has or represents Vaishvanara. The only challenge with this is the sound. Is a sound. It's very easy to show you a cross. It's physical. But if I just say you're like, I've got no emotional attachment to that at all. But I say represents the entire Vaishvanara. So the idea is, while chanting what you're going to be doing is thinking that the entire physical universe is inside you. So let's do that right now. While going you're going to be constantly entertaining as if the entire physical universe, including your body, everything is inside you, the one being. Keep on thinking how the whole physical universe is inside you, your physical body, everything. Okay. Okay, so this will be our meditation. This is just an introduction. And then one more point, it says Vaishvanara and share similarities because, why? Because we said pervades all speech and Vaishvanara pervades all forms. That's not really relevant. What's relevant is the meditation on the Okay, so once again, when we come back, we will start to do this meditation where you will stop seeing yourself as a small physical being and start seeing yourself step by step systematically as if you are the total being in whom the entire universe is now residing. And you will keep thinking this while saying, So this will be the practice. Okay? And the idea is this will slowly get you out of this smallness and make you, think much, much bigger of yourself. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.